Good evening, class. This is Mrs. Albright, and tonight we are working on Module 3, Lesson 8. And our objective this evening is to extend the use of place value discs to represent 3- and 4-digit by 1-digit multiplication. So our problems are getting bigger. So make sure you have a piece of scratch paper or a whiteboard, and let's get started. So our first problem is 2 times 324, and I can read this as 2 equal groups of 324. So I'm going to start by modeling this large number in my place value chart. So I'm starting with 3 hundreds, 2 tens, 4 ones. That is my 324. And I'm going to rewrite this problem vertically. 324 times 2. So to solve this larger multiplication problem, I'm just going to solve one place value column at a time. I'm going to multiply my ones by 2, my tens by 2, and my hundreds by 2, and then add them up to get my final product. So when I multiply my 4 ones by 2, I end up with 2 equal groups of 4 ones. So altogether that is 8 ones. So my 2 times 4 ones is equal to 8. Then I'm going to move on to my tens. I have 2 tens and I need to multiply that by 2. So I'm going to make 2 equal groups of 2 tens. And that leaves me with 4 tens. So 2 times 2 tens is 40, or 4 tens. So I'm going to write my 40 right there. My 2 times 2 tens is 4 tens. Now I'm going to multiply my hundreds. I have 3 hundreds. I need to make 2 equal groups of 3 hundreds because I'm multiplying by 2. That leaves me with 6 hundreds. So 2 times 3 hundreds is equal to 600. Now when I add these all up, and when I look over here at my place value chart, I can see that I have 6 hundreds, 4 tens, and 8 ones. And if I add up my columns here, I'm going to start with my ones. I have 8 ones, 4 tens, 6 hundreds to get my final answer of 648. Now it's time for you to try 231 times 3, or 3 equal groups of 231. So this next problem will get a little more challenging because we need to do some regrouping after we multiply. I'm going to start by rewriting this vertically, 605 times 4, and I can read this as 4 equal groups of 605. I'm going to start by modeling this number in my place value chart. I have 6 hundreds, 0 tens, and 5 ones. So I'm going to start by multiplying my ones. When I multiply when I have 4 times 5 ones, I can represent that in my place value chart over here. I need to make 4 equal groups of 5. So I already have 1. There's 2 groups of 5, 3 groups of 5, 4 groups of 5, and altogether that is 20, or I can regroup that, and that becomes 1 group of 10 moves over here. Here's another bundle of 10, and that moves over here. So my 4 times 5 ones becomes 2 tens, or 20. Now I'm going to take a look at my hundreds, and I have to multiply my 6 hundreds by 4. So I have to make 4 equal groups. So I already have 1 group of 6. That's 2 groups of 6, 3 groups of 6, 4 equal groups of 6. So altogether, 4 times 6, that is 24. So when I write this over here as my partial product, and I say 4 times 6 hundreds, that becomes 24 hundreds, which is really 2,400. Because I can bundle these together into groups of 10, and that would come over in, if I had my thousands column, that would come over here. and this would come over here. Those would become thousands, and then I would have these 4 ones left. So when I add these all up, you can see in my place value chart, I have 2 thousands, 4 hundreds, 2 tens, and 0 ones. And if I add these up here, I get the same result, 2,420. So the final answer to 605 times 4 is 2,420. Now it's your turn to try 5 equal groups of 464. Now remember, this will require regrouping as you move across the place value chart. Make sure you are using your scratch paper or whiteboard to solve this. This next problem, we're going to use a method that is a little bit different, and it is called the partial product method. So I'm going to start by rewriting my problem vertically, 851 times 3. I can also read this as 3 equal groups of 851. And I'm going to start just with my ones. I'm going to put my ones in my place value chart, which I have 1, 1 to start out with. And I'm going to multiply that by 3. So now instead of 1, 1, I have 3 equal groups of 1, 1. So altogether, that leaves me with 3 ones. Then I'm going to move on to my tens. My next problem is 3 times 5 tens. So I'm just going to separate this here, draw a little dividing line, and then I'm going to put my 5 tens in my place value chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I need to make 3 equal groups of those 5 tens. So I have got 1 equal group of 5, 2 equal groups of 5, 3 equal groups of 5. Now that can be rebundled. I can't leave all of those there in my tens column. So I'm going to group 10 of them together and move this over here to my hundreds. So now when I divide out my tens by multiplying my 5 tens by 3, I end up with 150. So this is for this column right here. I've got 3 when I multiply, 150 when I multiplied my 5 tens. Now I'm going to multiply the last number here, my 800s. So I need 3 equal groups of 800s. So I will start by putting those 800s in the place value chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to multiply that by 3. I need 3 equal groups of 800. So here's my second group. And here's my third group. Now I have 3 equal groups of 800. Well, 3 times 8 is 24. So I can bundle 10 of these together. 8, 9, 10. And that becomes 1,000. And I can bundle 10 more of these together. And that becomes 1,000. And I'm left with these 400s right here. But I can't forget about that 100 that I also have. So my 800s multiplied by 3 ends up becoming 2,400s, or 2,400. So that number is for multiplying my hundreds. So as you can see over here, I have 3 partial products. I have my result from multiplying my ones, I have my result from multiplying my tens, and now finally I have my result from multiplying my hundreds. When I add these all up, I end up with 3 ones, 5 tens, 5 hundreds, and 2 thousands. And when I look here at my picture, that is exactly what I have. I have 2 in my thousands columns. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my hundreds columns. I have 5 in my tens column, and I have 3 in my ones column. So that's how I get the answer, 2,553, by solving for partial products, multiplying 3 times 1, 1, 3 times 5 tens, and 3 times 800 separately, and then adding them up. It is your turn to try. This is 763 times 3, or 3 equal groups of 763. This last example I'm going to show you is using the same method, the partial product, but I'm going to show you some tricks so we don't have to draw as many dots and do some of the multiplication in our heads. And you can see that this number is also larger. It goes up into the thousands. So here I'm going to rewrite my problem vertically, 6,379, and I am multiplying that by 4. So I know that this ends up becoming 4 separate multiplication problems. I have 4 times 9 ones, 4 times 7 tens, 4 times 3 hundreds, and 4 times 6 thousands. So I'm going to start with my 9 ones and ask myself, what is 4 times 9 ones? And the answer is 36. Well, I don't want to spend time drawing 36 dots in my ones column. So I'm going to go ahead and do that regrouping. 36 is 3 tens and 6 ones. And then I'm done multiplying my ones. So I'm going to draw a line to separate this out. I'm going to send my arrow over here. 4 times 9 ones is 36. Now I'm going to multiply my tens. I have 4 times 7 tens. Well, I know 4 times 7 is 28. So 4 times 7 tens would be 28 tens, or 280. So I don't have to draw 28 dots here in my tens column. I can go ahead and do that regrouping because I know that it is 200s. So I can go ahead and put those dots there, and 8 tens. And I'm going to divide that because now I'm done multiplying my tens. So that comes over here, that is 280. Now I'm going to multiply my hundreds. I have 4 times 3 hundreds. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, so 4 times 3 hundreds is 12 hundreds. Again, I don't want to draw 12 dots here. 12 hundreds is actually 1,000 and 2 hundreds. I'm going to draw my line to separate that since now I'm done multiplying my hundreds, and that becomes 1,200. Notice how when I'm writing my partial products here, I'm making sure that all my place value columns are lined up. My ones are lined up, my tens are lined up, my hundreds, and now my thousands. I have one value left to multiply, and that is my 6 thousands. I need to multiply 4 times 6 thousands. Well, 4 times 6 is 24, so 4 times 6 thousands is 24 thousands. So I need to add another column to my place value chart. I need to add my 10 thousands over here. And 4 times 6 thousands, I would end up with 2 dots in my 10 thousands column and 4 dots in my thousands. So I can remark this over here. So it is 2 10 thousands, 4 thousands, 0 hundreds, 0 tens, 0 ones. Now I can add all these dots up, starting with my smallest place value. That's all I'm doing now with these partial products. When I add up my ones, you can see I have 6 ones, so I'm going to record that in my ones column. Now I'm going to add up my tens. I have 8 plus 3, that's 11. So this is where I do need to do some more regrouping. I can group 11 of these, or 10 of these dots together, 8, 9, 10, and that becomes 100. If I show that with my addition over here, my 3 plus 8 is 11, so I'm going to carry over the 1 and leave 1 right here. Now I'm going to add up my hundreds. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1 plus 2 plus 2. That leaves me with 5. And then I'm going to add up my hundreds, or I'm sorry, my thousands. I have 4 plus 1. That also leaves me with 5. And then finally my 10 thousands, which is 2. So my final answer is 25,516. This is your last problem to attempt 2,567 times 3, or 3 equal groups of 2,567. Try that partial product method. Break this down into 4 separate problems. 3 times 2 thousands, 3 times 5 hundreds, 3 times 6 tens, 3 times 7 ones, and then add up those products. Be sure to bring any questions you have back to class tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you in the morning. Have a great night.